It's Fab here from Alt Marketing School, and welcome. Hopefully, you are flocking in. If you're watching the replay, you are flocking in with your eyes. You're just coming through. I think we have Miruna here with us. I just wanted to say hi as she's coming in. I'm actually going to publish a little poll. There we go. As I welcome her in, ta-da, as we're getting ourselves in, just to see who we have around today. So, hello everybody. Hello, Claudia, one of our students and friend of the school. Hello, everybody else. Please let us know. Let us know what you're going to use your workflows for, so that we get a bit of an idea who we have in the room. Sorry, James. Apologies. There was a bug. So again, if you were joining us live and a couple of you had an issue, I'm really sorry. There was a mini bug that we fixed afterwards. So sorry about that, James. How are you doing, Miruna? As we're just getting people in.
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? Glad to join. Hope I wasn't too late.
No, it's fine. Look, we got a little pool. We're getting a vibe of where everybody's at and what they're up
Perfect.
to and what they're doing. So it's good. We're just easing in. We're talking about workflows today. We want people to feel like they're gonna get like systems and structure and a bit of peace. So if anything, everybody's chilled, everybody's ready. We're all kind of
Yes,
like excited. So don't worry about it.
that is perfect.
Team, hello, Evo from Portugal. Hello. Obviously, everybody else, say hi. And oh, bless you. Sean is like, all of them. Sean, you can just literally write, I'll get all of them. I love that. But everybody else, if you want to say hello in the chat, choose a GIF of your choosing. As you can tell, I love GIFs. And just let us know, your name and all the good things. But lovely to have you all. As you can see, we have different options, but some of you might fit lots of options. You actually use the workflows a bit for your agency, but also for your personal brand. That's totally fine. Choose the one that's most relevant so that we see what's in the room. Hello, Mira. Hello, Pedro, Ines, everybody who's joining us live. Such a pleasure. I'm going to crack on, but keep saying hi. Use GIFs if you like. I'm always a big fan of GIFs. And let me present. And obviously, Mirona is also going to present at some point. So if you need any help with that, do let me know. But it should be quite easy. There's a little presenter kind of thing for you as well. In the meantime, I will start presenting first. Hello, everybody. I'm very excited. Hi, Raquel or Rachel. I'm sorry. I hope I'm pronouncing it well. Jefte as well. Hello, everybody. Super excited to talk about workflows. The idea for today, in an hour, somehow, is to get us from go like that to something a bit more peaceful. Yeah. So, Working Social is probably one of the best Twitter accounts, even if PLANABLE this week. Going look at the coronation memes. They were excellent. I don't know who was that for that. Ruined
I
that for
think we have. I think we have our social media manager live too. So
kudos.
congrats to her live because those were brilliant.
Kudos, Queen. They were amazing. So go and check it out afterwards. Andrea, if you want to put the link in there as well, please do. But we want to go from this feeling, probably relatable for a lot of us, to a feeling of peace and a bit more ease when it comes to our day to day. Because one of the things that we know about marketers, regardless of how you consider yourself as a marketer, is that we are juggling so many hats, so many fingers, and so many pies. Use the analogy that you want. And it's really hard at first to kind of work on workflows because we don't know what we're looking for. So take it from our experiences, and hopefully we can give you something that you can implement for yourselves. That's kind of our hope for today. And my name is Fab. Very quickly, founder, head teacher at Alt Marketing School. I'll tell you a bit more about us as well. And with us, we also have the lovely Miruna too. I'm going to let her first share a bit more about Planable, and I'll tell you a bit more about us, just in case you don't know some of us, to give you a bit of context.
Yes. Hi, everyone. So I am the CMO at PLANABLE, and PLANABLE is the content collaboration tool for literally every piece of content that the marketing team manages. It has social media direct integration, so that means you can actually schedule automatically on all the major social media platforms, but also bring in the blog, the emails, the everything, because we manage so many types of content, and it can get very scattered, and I say that from experience. It was a bit of a pain before. So yeah, that's Planable. This is kind of like, a quick glimpse of what it looks like. And yeah, it's a place to work together with everyone on everything. That's how I'd call it for marketers, of course.
That is a great tagline, by the way. I mean, I'm going to be
I know.
biased and kind of say that we also have a great tagline. We're at Alt Marketing School. Always excited to have Verona join us and the team at Planable join us anyway, I want to say. But we are a school that teaches people how to do marketing differently. Our tagline is market to heart, not to brains. So we really want to help hundreds of thousands of professionals from all walks of life, really understand how to connect with relationships, how to be kinder with ourselves and others, how to be more accessible and inclusive with our marketing. And we pride ourselves in creating training that is led by us and leading experts that are part of our faculty at university standards, not prices. So we're all about making marketing inclusive, accessible, human, impactful, and a bit of fun. So hopefully we can give you a taster of that today, as well as obviously kind of breaking down workflows themselves. But we want to do this in a way that it's the end of the day for some of us, and you're not going to snooze. Please don't snooze. So if you're still up, and you're going in your life, you can give us, like a little heart, just making sure that you're all good and groovy. We'd love to see that, just to make sure that, look at that. Awesome. Today we're going to talk about quite a few things. So we're going to try and give you as much goodness as possible. We're going to look at both content distribution itself, and then we're also going to look at content distributions as part of the marketing workflows. As such, we're going to look at setting them up and also reviewing them, a couple of points on both. And then finally, Miruna is going to take us through a distribution strategy, which is pretty damn awesome. So if you're ready, let us know in Le Chataroo, like that we're all awake and we're all ready. Choose the gift of choosing, and I will find my gift and pass the baton of speech to, obviously, Miruna. So we're looking to create better systems. So let's look at content distribution first.
Yes. So content distribution, the big question is what that is. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of us know what content distribution actually entails. It's the process of distributing, promoting, publishing your content out there and promoting it as much as possible. And I think there's this saying that a lot of people say of 20% is the actual creation of content and 80% of the distribution. So most of the work should go into distribution, and I've heard that a lot. But I find it sometimes a bit confusing, or it feels like it puts the focus on the wrong side of things, because what it sounds like is just that you need more distribution. But the quantity isn't always the problem. A lot of times is the coordination of it. So first of all, yes, of course, the more channels you promote on, the more assets and the more times you talk about your main piece of content or campaign, the higher the reach, so the better the results. At least that's how it should be. But also, it's about coordination a lot, I feel like. We felt that on our own skin, because if you have different types of channels and different types of audiences, and then you have this main content, and then you remember to, oh wait, I forgot to put a social post there, or oh wait, I should try, I don't know, putting it on some sort of community or group, or I should talk about it in a webinar. That if that's sort of somewhere in the back of your brain, but it doesn't have a conclusive strategy from beginning to end on how this distribution should look like, what's the main idea behind it, what is the audience that I'm targeting, and what's the timeline of my distribution. If that coordination lacks, then the results will suffer. There's also, the content distribution is a lot about bridging this gap between strategy and execution. I talk about this because there is, of course, a strategy of why the content, that initial piece of content or that initial idea for a campaign started. That's the initial strategy of it. But we tend to jump right into promotion after that. At least I tended to do that. I saw the piece of content or the campaign and I just said, okay, time to promote. Let's go wide and loud with this. Let's plaster it everywhere. But then it lacked that intermediary step of, wait, why are we doing this again? Who is this for? What are the channels that should be dedicated and super fit for this type of campaign or content? And then that type of approach kind of makes the distribution a lot better informed and a lot more efficient. And the final thing that I'd like to say here is on why do it is that a good distribution strategy gives you it helps you actually generate content ideas. Because the way we think about it most of the times is that we come up with a content idea and then we execute it and then we start to promote it. And that's great. But also, if the distribution would be kind of the origin of the idea, or it could be embedded into the idea of the piece of content itself, then that sort of guarantees the success of that content. And that is, it's much like a business. If you start a business and have no idea how to promote it, if you would think about the growth strategies, the go-to-market strategy when you actually build the business, it's the same with content. If you think, okay, I'm gonna go with an ebook, why? Because it speaks to my brand. It says all the right things. I can raise the flag and enhance the messaging that we have. Great. But how are you going to promote that ebook? Do you think that it has good SEO? Does it have superb volume on those keywords? Or do you feel like it speaks so well to a community that it's going to have immense shareability? Is it going to go viral? Are you going to, I don't know, list it on Amazon? What are the automatic distribution strategies that come to mind? And how does that help you make a decision on what type of content should you build at all? Yes. Okay. So what this means, I don't want to go too deep into this because we have at the end, as you've already said, the agenda fab. We're going to go into exactly step by step how to build this distribution strategy. But essentially, how I see it, the key points is to have a map of audiences and channels. And I make a big deal about these audiences because I have this thing in which I tend to go into channels, but what I mean is audiences, and it's an important distinction there. Then a step-by-step workflow, the distribution plan and strategy should have that too. Clear ownership of who does what. That's a part of that behind the scenes that can ensure the seamlessness of that process once a launch is live. Because once a launch is live, it gets a life of its own, right? We need everyone to know what they're doing and when they should be doing it in order to succeed. And then, of course, all the I's should be dotted. Everything should be very clearly arranged, but also we should leave some space for experimentation and for the flexibility of ideas that could come up spontaneously, or that opportunities that we should grab. This is just a quick snippet on how our actual distribution looked like the week of the launch for universal content. That's going to be kind of the case study I'll talk on throughout this session. But mainly, it was very integrated. It was cross-channel. We had social media. That's why it's a good case study, because it had a lot of channels and a lot of audiences and wasn't very niched in this particular case. So we had newsletters, we had blog, we had all the social media networks, we had SEO, we had ads, influencers, really everything. So that's kind of how it looked like. And just as a last extra incentive, we've actually experienced this on our own. I think about 4 or 5 months back, we would do webinars on feature launches. and for our internal, for our existing users, right? So we're talking about active users that are always engaged and want to learn more. And we would do it basically, I'd send a Slack message on the whole marketing team, and I'd say, okay, time to promote. We really need registrants here. And then the owner of each channel would just decide what to do with that. Maybe sometimes forget, maybe put a post out there, maybe send an email, and that was about it. And we would get 20 to 50 registrants, which we didn't consider a waste of time because it was very product focused. So whatever, any kind of education is good education when it comes to product. But then now we've done 2 webinars, one after the other, with this type of orchestrated distribution across all the channels, and we're seeing 200 to 300 registrants at a webinar with the same scope, so product focused, same audience, same idea behind it. So yes, I've really seen the results kind of spike. And this is how it looked like for the webinar that we had a couple of weeks back, which was at, I think, 260 registrants. It was a webinar about PLANABLE AI, which is the most recent feature launched. Again, it had teasers, it had momentum, it had multiple channels, everything was integrated, and we planned it quite carefully.
That's just kind of setting the scene, which I love. So then we get the grand finale with the whole kind of distribution itself. But so if you needed to know why it matters, now you know. Now we're going to actually do a bit of a step back because a Queen of System has arrived. If anybody is familiar with the school, I know some of you are, I see you, you will know that systems are the way that I run my brain. And obviously I'm a small business. We are like 2.5 because I work with contractors, but mainly is myself. So really understanding marketing workflows has been so important. And it's something that we also teach our students in our certification in depth, because I love this. This tweet literally says it all for me. You know, building better processes is an underrated marketing skill. And it's one of the things that students and graduates tell us is a game changer for them, because we take the time to do that. You know, a lot of the time we're stuck in these patterns where it's kind of hard because we have to kind of catch up a bit, what Mirona was saying, catching up and adding things and building blocks. But when you can work on systems, we can help ourselves making everything smoother. A lot of the time, the problem is lack of time, overwhelm. What the hell is a system anyway? What does it look for me? You know, it's a combination of a lot of things as well. So what we're going to use as an example today, we have given you, or we're giving you, you find them also in the emails that we sent you, and also in the little virtual hub, which is the page where you're going to get the replay, is also going to be sent by email. We actually created a couple of templates, including a distribution channel template very kindly offered by PLANABLE, and also a way to set up marketing workflows. This is based on something called the PARA method. Give me a little thumbs up. You can do reactions, by the way, as well. Give me a little thumbs up, like the one that I'm just doing now, if you ever heard of Tiago Forte's PARA method from the Second Brain book, which is great. If you haven't, let me give you a quick run through. This is a way to organize your systems and your processes, and it's based on 4 different things: projects, areas, resources, and archives. And it's kind of like a way to categorize systems in our brain and also in our everyday life. So what I've done, I've taken this, which is a great method, recommend checking the book out as well, Building a Second Brain, and I kind of applied it to marketing workflows in a way where I asked myself, where the heck do the workflows live in this beautiful journey? We all have areas of marketing that we need to focus on. And within those, there's going to be different workflows that we want to tackle, like, you know, improving our distribution workflow. And within that workflow, there's going to be different tasks and potentially even different deliverables. If you don't know what deliverables are, think about them as outcome or projects. You know, if you have for clients, there are things we need to deliver to them. And so what we are sharing with you as well, which I want to give you a quick overlook at, is a ever so powerful little buddy here, which I'll show you now on Notion, that will help you as well understanding. Let me see if I can find this bad boy. Can I find it? Let me push it. See, when I have to share stuff that is not on screen, let me see. Will you like me? Yes. Okay. This is the kind of workflow that we built for you. Hopefully you can see it. And what you can see in here is something that you can access. Again, you will have access to it. And there's a breakdown step by step. But all I wanted to explain here is that we start with the areas of marketing that you want to focus on. And for these areas of marketing, you're going to break down what are the workflows included. In this example, we have, team meetings, a social media calendar, and a campaign brief. Within each workflow, you will be able to do things like adding the objective, the time frame, and then you can see any resources linked to your workflow, as well as tasks, and also something called deliverables, like what you're going to give your clients. We want to also create a little bit of a separate overview. So if you really want to use this, if that sounds exciting for you to take everything that is in your head and break down everything you do for each area of your marketing, then watch out, because we're also going to add a little bit of special walkthrough on demand that goes through this template as well, because it's a bit complex. But the whole idea is that we go from the areas of marketing, what are the workflows or projects, and then what are the tasks that we need to do to get there. And then we look at our deliverables, and also we have a special space for all of our resources. #banks, this great website, accessible social media. By building things this way, we can start understanding what we are doing. It doesn't matter if you work with other people or on your own. Seeing what each and every single project or workflow includes allows you to feel more in control, amplify your efforts, get better results, and goddamn it, take a weekend off. Amen to that, if I say so myself. So I just wanted to show it in action because I think it's kind of nice. Thank you for the little party poppers, everybody. I'm glad that I'm not the only one feeling this. So I just wanted to show you what it looks like, and you will have access to this. So maybe you already made your copy in Notion if you're a Notion person. If you're new to Notion, again, I'm going to be recording a bit of an overview. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because it allows you to see everything broken down. And then obviously, if you do have clients or if you do work with other people, think about, again, what are the deliverables? So what are you giving your clients at the end? Is it a strategy? Is it a calendar? Is it reports? Think about things like payment terms, And then something that Miruna mentioned that Planable does so well is also understand when you're breaking down your workflow into different tasks, where is the approval process needed? Where are some places where you might have to wait on somebody else? Or you might have to, kind of take time to get a review. Or maybe you have a contractor helping you with your video production. And so you need to make sure that they know they have everything they need to get to the next step. So even if you have a team, this is a great time for you to assign roles. But if you are on your own and you start outsourcing, this is also great because you are going to learn which areas of a workflow you can outsource. You don't have to outsource all of it, but it might be that some things that you're doing, you can actually hand over to somebody else to make more time for the things that you love. So this is why I really like to break it down that way. Now, if you're with me and you're not asleep, give me a little heart, please. Show me some love. She craves the hearts. Woo! Okay, 1, 2, yes. Okay, so this is how we set them up. Thank you for the hearts. Appreciate them. If you are like, Fab, I don't even know if I have a workflow, then you can review them. We like to review things every 90 days. Miruna, what's your I know that you have a system like this. How often do you usually review things like this at Planable?
Yeah, every 3 months, at the end of every quarter, when we do the whole quarterly planning, that's very focused on OKRs and on our tactics, of course, but I make it a point to dedicate at least 20% of the time to the workflows and the behind the scenes. So how we work as a team. And that's, I have specific questions like where do things get stuck? Where do we feel like it takes a lot more time than it should? Where do we feel that our individual talent and skills isn't actually being used because we're doing some sort of manual work that should be automated? These kinds of questions to ensure that the team is efficient and collaborative at all points.
I love that. So first of all, I'm also really appreciative that the quarter works really well for a lot of us because same. And you see some of the questions and the points that Miruna made because they're very common for a lot of us can work. But I love the fact that, again, there is that seasonality. If you are on your own, once again, and you're a freelancer or you just do everything, Whether you have a community of people around you, you have accountability buddies, obviously, if you're a student, we do that with you. Make sure that you find a place where you can get that time to actually review how you're doing. And when you do that, we often look at goals, as Yoruna said, OKRs and results. But take that time, even just for yourself, to review your workflow. So I'm going to ask you this question now, very briefly in the chat. I'm going to read this, and I would love you to tell me, how would you prioritize? It's talking about workflows and understanding. How would you prioritize these 3 tasks based on what we've talked about right now and how you kind of like to work? Okay, let's look at, how can we make things better? So think about, if I want to make my workflows better, if I want to be better at automating or delegating, let's pretend that you are part of a team. Okay, there are 3 things that need to be done apparently right now. A, your manager asks you for some metrics to complete a marketing section of a report. This report is due tomorrow. B, a member of the sales team approaches you directly to help create some visuals for a presentation to a potential new client. Guess what? The presentation is also tomorrow. C, you notice a negative comment from a customer on Twitter requiring urgent attention. How would you prioritize? There's no right or wrong, I want to say, before everybody gets like, it's just help us understanding how we see things as well, and how we actually look at how we work and what we prioritize, and why that's so important when we're reviewing our workflows. By the way, I love that this is honestly, we do this with students as well. So, our certification students will know this too. And it's really interesting that you're all saying that. There's a CAB from our people live. It doesn't usually happen that way. Funnily enough, we actually see that a lot of people tend to kind of like not be sure what one should be the first one. But you can see you've got social media people in the room. And marketers in the room are like, crisis averted. Go, go, go. Make sure that everything is fine. So CAB, I'm really interested that everybody said that. I'm going to ask my fellow friend, Miruna, I was going to do that. What about yourself? What would you do?
Well, first of all, I'd look at the team and see what I can delegate, because that depends on the skills that I have available and the rest of the team, and their time, whether they're super busy. Maybe someone that has data skills is already super busy with that. So that would be my number one priority. If I had no one to help me, I'd also start with C, just thinking, it's not obvious, but I'm thinking, if the comment is negative and it's on Twitter is pretty real time, so I just wanna make sure. And then between the sales team and the monthly board report, I'd say it's very debatable. It's very debatable on what's more important and what's what can be delegated. I'd say the sales team could probably do that presentation without the visuals. If it's, push comes to shove, they can do it, right?
I love that. That's also what we see a lot, is also kind of, obviously you're supporting another team, which is always great, but it's kind of understanding how, how to do that. And I love that you started with the delegation piece and kind of reflecting on that, because that's one of the reasons why, by the way, thank you everybody for playing. Whoever played, I'm going to give you claps. You get claps. Thank you for playing. So you get claps. But the reason why I did that wasn't just for a bit of fun. It was also because you're clapping to yourselves. I like it. Because when you're looking at your workflows, I'm going to show you again a little bit of something in a second, but there are different things that you can do, and there are questions that you can ask yourselves. But when it comes to implementations, which is always the thing, it's good to reflect, it's good to ask questions, it's good to see, what do I need to change? But then you got to change it. So there are 4 things that we always like to look at. Can you refresh? Maybe like the workflow and the flow and the tasks themselves. Maybe you want to experiment and try something new. That could be even just changing how things work, or changing the channels that you want to use, or the structure of the workflow. And then other 2 big important ones: can you delegate or can you automate part of your workflow? So especially as you're looking at building your distribution workflow, for example, what can you do and what other people can support you with? So these are some of the questions that you can take a screenshot, you can watch a replay as you're joining us live as well, because you kind of got the live ticket. You also get a little special document, which I'll show you, that has these questions. But things like Am I spending too much time on redundant tasks? Are there easier way to complete specific tasks? That is so important as you're looking at everything. And is there anything that needs to be removed? Personally, 90% of the time, probably yes, especially as you're starting. And then after that, I know it sounds weird, but also, is there anything missing? It might be that you can actually switch something to make things more effective. And the only other thing I wanted to mention before I show you something, and then I hand again the presentation skills. Also, feedback is really important. So I wanted to talk about it again because that's where a lot of the time can get lost. So what I love to do is having a simple way to share feedback and record progress. Now you can share feedback, I'm pretty sure, on Planable as well as you're doing your content. But obviously, if you're going for other things as well, you want to improve all aspects of marketing workflows, is all understanding like where do you do your work? Where can you find a way where you can store the feedback that doesn't feel like it's a constant notification galore. So, for example, sending feedback about tasks or things that need to improve on Slack on a constant messaging basis, it kind of doesn't give us the idea that things can be done with a certain time. So, I always like to attach these to tasks or mini projects and kind of get an idea of what needs to be done or anything needs to be changed. And this is where, again, by doing that, you can start reviewing, what is working and what needs maybe extra support. Another two things I want to mention for anybody who is an agency in the room or works with clients, there are two things also that can really hinder the feedback process. And so I want to mention them. One is obviously making sure that you know how many rounds of changes you will do for your clients. First of all, for boundaries, but also because it will help you then set the right deadlines and timelines based on that. I personally always like to set a longer deadline than what I think, especially if I have more than two revisions, because it is going to go over, especially because you're probably going to have to wait on them. That happens a lot, even with the best tools in the world. Again, Mirona can prove me wrong, but it happens. We're dealing with humans at the end of the day. So make sure that you're clear on that boundary, and also what happens if your clients miss a deadline, or if people that you're working with miss a deadline. How would things work? What would be the procedure? All of this can help you making your workflows better, and also when you're not doing everything on your own, feeling safe, and also feeling a peace of mind if you're outsourcing to others or you're working with other people. Before I leave our distribution workflow, I want to show you one more thing that if you're watching the replay, that's what your friends can access. So there it is. You can see the questions anyway, but again, what we also have is a little special thing. We created a little simple marketing workflow review. And what it has a couple of prompts. But if you click on the button, you will be able to create a new little page in here with different review. And if you open it, obviously you can actually see what implementations you want to do. You can write what workflow you're working on. Maybe it's the content distribution. And then you can simply add prompts and answers to these questions, which are some of the ones that I mentioned with you, and a few extras as well. So we wanted to give you an extra thing. These questions you also saw in the presentation, but again, if you wanted something a bit more extra, we also got that covered for you. It's all about really creating that consistency, and then you can kind of work back and improve the progress and the projects that you're working on. So now we're going to get, boom, Miruna to share one of these in action too. But I really hope this set the tone and also makes us feel a bit less overwhelmed about what needs to be done. It's all about breaking it down, making time to review, and making time to implement. And then you can build something really strong, but it won't be strong the first time. That's at least what I found. Am I right? Or, I just like sometimes these things need to be done first before you get it right. Because I think there can be also a lot of pressure. You kind of create a great workflow and it works straight away. It rarely does, in my opinion.
Yeah, never. Who's heard about that story? Yeah, I love how you talked about iteration so early on, because I feel like that's the secret to workflow success. Also because not only because you cannot envision all possible scenarios when you first design a workflow, but also because even if you're a single person working on something, the work is dynamic. People are dynamic. Your clients might be dynamic. So many things change. You get a new tool that changes your workflow. You no longer like a tool that you use. So, it's good to also with technology and the environment changing so much, you want to keep your workflow up to date. What if, if you completely miss AI and you don't implement it at all because you have one very rigid workflow, you're missing out.
Awesome. Should I let you share first, or you want
Yeah,
me to go through the slides?
I can also go through the slides so I don't interrupt you. And I can move tabs.
Awesome.
So let me share my. Oh, I have to open system settings.
Oh no, it's doing it for us.
I'm guessing, hoping it's good. Oh,
Oh, look at
okay.
that. Yay!
Looks
Winners,
good, right?
everybody. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Um, wait, how do I play this?
You just click on.
Oh, there you go.
There you go,
Yes.
slideshow. Hey.
Perfect. Good. Okay. So now, on the whole, developing a strategy, this is kind of the process that I went through. And this was actually a goal that I set for myself in Q1, right? So um, this was pretty recent. I went through a bit of research. I couldn't actually find something that someone else already used in terms of a logic behind how they manage this whole distribution cross channel, and so I kind of did it myself. The first thing I did was to make a framework of distribution that I can always simply duplicate, and or not just me but also any other team member, and kind of fill it out like a form, like a template. And this framework, this document, I wanted it to contain the strategy, not the channels at first, not the actual assets, but the strategy of the campaign. So when I say strategy, I mean, of course, what the campaign is about, what the content is about. So whether that's we're promoting an ebook, then say that what the ebook is about, why did we do it, and so on. We're promoting a feature that Planable launched, or any other type of product, then okay, explain what that is, what purpose it serves, what the audience of it is, who are we talking about, who are we talking to, who are we promoting this to. um, then the insight and solution that actually, this doesn't talk about the promotion, but it talks about the what we're promoting, right? It helps us keep it top of mind so that the messaging reflects that insight and solution. Um, and the concept, message, and design, which is sort of, a starting point for any other messaging or design that we will develop afterwards. It serves as some inspiration and something that can keep the team consistent across all the communication that we'll develop moving forward. So the strategy doc does for us, and I have a screenshot here, but I can just show it to you in a different tab so you can see it full screen. Um, There we go. Yes. So this is actually the document that I created when we launched Universal Content. So Universal Content, just to have a bit of context, is basically what I just said, that Planable no longer allows only for social media content to be created and collaborated on, but also for blogs, newsletter, and everything else. So this was huge for us, huge. So it was important for me to create this document that, first of all, aligns the entire team, meaning we all understand what we're promoting. Because for context, we're 8 people in the marketing team at Planable. Some are on customer success, some are on SEO, some are on social media, on so many different channels and purposes and audiences. So I wanted to have a starting point that speaks to everyone. So we have the main, what it is, the goals, the audience, the insight and solution, why we created this, how are people doing this now, what does this new thing actually do at this moment, and then we actually drop into the channel. So this doesn't come just yet. At first, it's just this initial document, right? I'm just to pinpoint on the again. This is to align the team. So I don't know if this sounds familiar, Fab, but putting all the dots together, all the information about what we're about to launch, kind of makes it fall into place a bit.
Yeah, I find that that's also what I love about it is that it's very much like drag and drop and kind of like adding all the different steps together and just kind of filling those gaps can really, really help because I think that's one of the other problems too. Then it's harder for you to know what to do until you can see it all. So I find that especially with the launch, I think we tend, regardless of what you're launching, we I think you can do a more, as you say, kind of integrated and omni-channel kind of approach if you can think about it a bit more. It's just a lot of the time we go with what we have or the channels that we can think of, and almost in a way that we are expecting different kind of results. But I think if we push yourself a bit because you have the right systems, actually if you go a bit wider, as you just showed from your results, you can like duplicate or triplicate the results that you get.
Yeah.
So I think it's, especially as you said, like a feature launch doesn't necessarily, you wouldn't expect that much interest for the webinars as well, but you showed us that actually that got a great response and it was all due to
Yeah.
the iteration as well. Be in front of
Mhm.
people, remind them what you're
Yeah.
doing, remind them you exist, you know?
Yes. Yes. And tell them, find different ways to tell them too. Okay, so then the next step, yes, I'm back to sharing, yes? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So okay, thanks. So the next step is to clearly establish the goal or remind ourselves of the goal. Why are we launching this? So let's pick a different example because maybe a feature is not as relatable. But let's say a I don't know, a video show or a podcast. So why are we doing this podcast? Are we doing this to acquire a new audience, whether that means visitors or actual leads? So you expect them to come in to I don't know, try your product or fill out a form or leave you a contact detail. Are you doing it to engage the audience that you already have? This changes significantly because maybe you already have, for example, a huge email list that you want to engage a bit more. You feel like they've distanced themselves or that the newsletter isn't convincing them enough to take some sort of action or that they're dropping off. So you want to engage them. So maybe that's the purpose of the podcast. Or to convert them again, if you feel like some dormant audience that you have is not taking the proper action, or you want to enhance that, maybe you are doing this content, this podcast to convert them to speak more about the product or service that you're selling. And finally, retention. Obviously, do you want clients to stay longer? Do you want the existing active audience that you have to continue to stay with you along a bigger period of time? Why this goal is important? Because I'm sure by the time the content piece is ready or the product that you want to promote is ready, this goal is clearly set in mind. But what is it exactly? Why that goal is reminding of ourselves of that goal gives us the next step, and that is to define the audience that we are going to address. And I chose these very simple way of categorizing audiences just because I feel like sometimes we deeply forget about the distinction between these three types of audiences because but the messaging and the channels are extremely different. So if you're doing for acquisition, and lead generation, then we're talking about mostly cold audiences. So people who've never heard about you before, they haven't liked your pages, they haven't subscribed to your emails, they haven't tried your product. They probably haven't heard of you or had no interaction. If you're looking to engage or to convert, then we're talking about warm audiences, so they know something about you. They've maybe potentially taken a look at you before, but they weren't convinced. So you again take a whole different approach, different channels. Or hot audiences, they know all about you, they use you, they've tried your products or services, everything is settled there. No need to explain anything to them. And from this, we go to channels. So this then splits into the channels that we'll choose for the distribution. So for cold audiences, again, we'll talk about ads a lot. Ads, not retargeting ads, but actual new audiences ads on social media, on search, on display, anything available that targets new cold audiences, or sponsorships or partnerships trying to tap into a curated or pre-qualified audience through these tactics. Or for warm audiences, I'm talking social media organic, I'm talking newsletters towards the list that are already subscribed, I'm talking website, banner pop-ups, new pages that are used as an announcement or as a place to engage these people. And hot audiences, customer channels. I didn't write any particular channel here because these can be so different. It can be email, it can be chat, it can be real in-person interaction if that's the type of service that you share. So all the channels that you have dedicated for your customers. Okay, so the way I did this is it was there in the Notion that I showed previously. So I did a board that, first of all, is split into these three: cold, warm, and hot. And then it's split into the status of selected, investigating, or not for this one. Because what I want to do is have sort of a place for the campaign manager to drag and drop along the way, if that makes sense. So what I want is to not have to search the world for potential channels at this point, but to go through the selection process. Does this fit? Does this not? Is this the audience that I'm focusing on? Yes or no? And so on. Okay, so moving forward, the another part of it is, once we have the channels, once we have the clear distribution strategy, then we actually move to content. Then and only then. And this is just a snapshot. The way I do it is that I create placeholders for the team. So I can stop sharing here for a bit, but basically, you can use any tool that you're currently using. Of course, we use Planable, but the idea is that I set placeholders in a calendar view that I can then give to the team with very clear instructions. Because I have, okay, on Monday, we're sending the newsletter. On Tuesday, we're going live on social media everywhere. On Wednesday, I want all our influencers that we work with to go boom, boom, boom everywhere. And then on Thursday, mic drop, I don't know, we do a big event or webinar around that launch. So when I have the timeline, I can then clearly assign who should do what at that point. So who's writing the copy, who in our team, it's pretty much split into the owners of each channel. So that kind of helps me assign clear roles throughout that launch. But yeah, we have that clear map. Everyone is aligned when and why we're posting about that launch. And then throughout the actual week of the launch or month of the launch, things feel honestly for me in control. I feel like I have the overview. I can check in at any point. I can go to that common place that we again call Planable, but also it can be a sheets if you're comfortable with do it yourself option. And I go in there, I check the status. Is the copy written? Is the status updated? Was it published? Was it not? How's it going?
I love that, by the way. I want to say one thing as well about that. It's that this can also be really helpful, especially if you're then decided to have one project where you say it's going to be bigger projects and you also want to go outside of the team. Again, if the team is yourself, I know some of us are like, I'm on my own. Even if the team is yourself and you're like, I want to outsource the content, for example, the visual creation of the content for the launch, having a place where people can go and actually see what everything is needed, it's so helpful. And this is why workflows, excuse the plain words, but it works. A workflow works because it kind of shows you like what are the different building blocks that I need to have ready in order to make things happen. And so that's why I love that as well, because you have everything in there and then you can just, you say, remove or hide channels that you don't want to use or things that are not relevant to you. So take this, obviously, Planable is also giving us their template for the distribution workflow, which you also should be already be finding in your email. But it's also a great way that you can use a framework that you can use for any type of project, whether it's a launch, whether it's a re-engagement campaign, anything you want. Now, if you have any questions, I'm going to get to them in a second. First of all, I want to let you know that we have, I'm going to show you that. We actually have, I'm going to put it in the feed. We have our little leaderboard. So keep on spreading the love. Keep on like commenting and asking questions because you can earn points and get prizes. So I don't know if I can show them on the thing. I don't think I can right now, but I put it in the chat. So if you keep kind of sharing and spreading the love, we will then let you know. We have a couple of Notion dashboards coming up, a couple of bundles and some free tickets for our event next week. So keep up the good work. What I wanted to, no worries, pleasure. I also, to be honest, I'm going to say we really like to provide both of us, I think, tangible things as well. It's great that we give you lots of knowledge, but even I would be, okay, what's the next step now? I have to think about my whole email marketing flow. It feels like a lot. So it's kind of like showing you how it can be done and then giving you something that you can start building momentum. Because I think that's also the problem. Like, I don't know, Miro, how long it took you to build something like that, but it takes longer than you think. Because, you know, and then you can make it yours if it's somebody else's, like a template. But if you're starting from scratch, takes forever, I find.
Yes, I see. I start with the agenda and the pen and thinking what I need and what I don't, and that takes a long time.
Ivo asked a question. So Notion can integrate with some things, but think about it almost as my friend Francis from Notion Bar calls it like Lego for like professionals, like building blocks. So on my side, I'm gonna say Notion can integrate with some things, but it works a bit more individually as your kind of almost your dashboard or your place to go back to as a reference. I'm gonna let Miruna share if there's any like connection with Planable and integration. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, there's no connection or direct integration between Notion and Planable. We treat Notion as a wiki, a place for a central knowledge space for everything, for team-wide information, for company information, for even colors. We keep brand colors in Notion. So we have all of these. It's the central a place where you can find all the resources that we need. That's how we use it internally. Planable has integrations with all the social media platforms directly, so the scheduling happens automatically. But between Planable and Notion, no.
And I would say that's also personally how I would use it as well. We use it as reference. Even the dashboards that we have in our shop, and some of you will win some, are basically very much a place for you to get back to. We call it, it's like a second brain. It's like the place where it's almost like a virtual office where you have all the bits of paper that thankfully we don't have to worry about anymore because now everything is paperless. But you have points of reference, team onboarding, all of these things can be done in Notion. That's also how I would personally use it. as a kind of place of reference that then everybody can get back to and maybe collaborate, a bit like Planable in that respect, but more like for the company wide, for all the different activities and documents and things that are needed. So I hope Evo answers the question. It's a great tool, and then you can just use it with Planable as well, which is amazing. Team, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. Also, if there's any specific about some of the workflows or some of the distribution channels, I just want to do a quick whiz of a reminder of a couple of things, because you have launched something, obviously, and also we've been up to a few things too. So I just want to do a super quick whiz share. One sec. Da-da-da-da. Here we go. So what have you been up to? Let us know. There we go. It should happen now.
Yes, so with Planable, the offer, the gift for today is that we're giving off 100% of the first invoice. So that can apply, by the way, to the first. If you purchase monthly, it's going to apply for that first month. If you purchase yearly, it's gonna apply for the first year. That can basically make Planable as close to free as possible for an entire year. And all you have to do is sign up, which is free, and then create 10 posts, out of which 5 to be non-social, so universal content. As I said, that means sandbox content. It can be blogs, newsletters, everything. Just try it out, and then just reach out to us. Tell us that you've gone through the steps, and you'll get the coupon.
By the way, I love what Evo wrote in the chat.
Yes, the best gift.
Lol. On our side, I just wanted you to know. So there's a couple of things that we're up to. So if you can always check them out, I'm going to put the link for Planable and a couple of things they're up to, and us as well. We have a live experience coming up in a few weeks. Go and check it out if you're interested. If you're not a member of the community, come and join us. We have a couple of students that potentially can vouch for the experience. You know, you get access to courses and events just like this one and a lot more. But I also wanted to say, what I really wanted to say is that if you want to learn about positive impact marketing, you can actually get a free 4-day video. So course, that's the one. So we're actually going to send you an email tomorrow. You just literally click and then we'll send you the course. So one lesson a day on your email for 4 days. That's all there is. So if you're interested in knowing a bit more about what we do, that's our offer. Just join us for this 4-day experience where you get to hear more of my voice. You're going to build an impact manifesto. We'll teach you how to do that. And that's pretty much that. But if you want to check out us more, I put a couple of links in the chat too, just to figure out who we are and a couple of things we're up to. Oh, bless. Thank you, Rachel. Means a lot. We're really happy to do that. Now, if there's any other questions, let us know. I have one question for you, Miruna, but I'll keep an eye out for everybody else. My question for you is, what is the one change that you have done in the last quarter, the one implementation that you've done in the last quarter that really helped you be more effective with your workflows, if you can think, as a team or as yourself?
So we integrated a tool for, not necessarily for task management, but we're going agile as a team. We've done that in the past couple of months. It's a transition, and it's filled with iterations once again, and it's we're still figuring out how that type of agile workflow works for us, but mainly we switched the biggest impact was the meetings that we had, because it used to be all wide, and it used to be, what did you do last week and what are you doing this week, and sort of like a list of tasks. But now it's just, what did you learn and what's the biggest impact what's the work that had the biggest impact that you've done, and that's it.
I love that. You know what I read as well? Everybody, let us know if you feel the meeting pain, because that's a big one. One thing that we do, and that I suggest everybody watching live or replay, everybody try and see, if you're not doing this agile, try and see if you can shave off 5 minutes, just 5 minutes from your meeting, from your next meeting. Like if you're like, okay, I'm going to have weekly meetings with people, cool. I'm going to have a coffee chat, cool. Shave off 5 minutes. And those 5 minutes, don't fill them with anything, goddammit. I'll see you if you do. 3 minutes, 5 minutes buffer. You write down what needs to be done, you write down takeaways from the meeting, you add action steps, I don't care. Simple implementation, simple change, huge, huge. So I just wanted to add that to that. Can I share ours? So when it comes to our implementation, I think one of the biggest things was kind of doing what I hope we taught you as well as part of the things we taught today. Break down a workflow or a project into as many tasks as possibly can. It looks weird and it's going to feel odd, and hopefully with the Notion template you can do that and try and break down your social media calendar update for the month. What are all the things that you need to do? It's a game changer. It might be that you're also going to use it with the team, and so you assign, or even for yourself, and you tick them off. But also I think it really helps you reframing how much time it takes you to do things, and also looking at the different elements. So we're starting to do it with everything, and it's been a game changer. I did it for some things, but not as much as I would have liked. So now we're literally breaking everything down with subheaders and subsections, and it's really helpful. So another recommendation, even if you're on your own, break it down more, and then what doesn't feel like a workflow, it will start looking like a workflow, because it will show you that actually for you to publish a podcast episode, it takes you 20 different steps, and that is okay, but it also allows you to reset your expectations. So whatever you want to do, whichever area of marketing you want to improve, break it down, review it every 90 days, create templates and repeatable frameworks like Mirona showed you, and we promise, pinky promise, it's going to help. Any more parting words? Anybody have a question on Keep and Look? Oh, there's one question. Oh God, there's a few. Okay, sorry. This one quickly from Raquel. How much does the adapting process of figuring out the right channels for amount of content? So I guess how much? Yeah. Okay. I think that's for you mainly, to be honest.
Honestly, it doesn't take long. We're not rewriting the content. So the fact that that actually was reduced due to us bringing all the content together too. Because the way I do it is and depending on the type of launch and or of campaign, I create a piece of content initially to serve as inspiration for everyone else. So, and I'm going to choose the longest one. So if we have blog announcement or a press release, I'm going to choose that because that will feel like it will have the most information and the most the greatest starting point. So I'm going to do that, and then all the other team members are just going to come and just simply copy some of those. That's interesting. Simply going to copy some of those segments and put into their piece of content, just phrases, introductions, and then the rest is just an adaptation that they're already familiar with that audience and what they want to know. So it feels quite natural. It takes a lot of time when there's nothing to start off with. When you start with a blank page, and that feels a bit terrifying, and it can take a long time until I realize what I want to say. But yeah, and the amount of channels, then that's how long it takes to figure out those channels. Since the drag and drop, not a lot, because it makes sense. If we're promoting, AI and Planable, then who wants to know about this most? Our users, our existing users. They want to know because they're already using. They just wanna see it. But also, does that open up a possibility for a new audience? Maybe. I'll drag and drop, and if I have questions, I'll just put them into investigating, and I'll look at that later, because I don't know, Reddit might be something interesting for this launch, but I'll put a separate task and break it down, as Fab said, into investigating that possibility.
I do love that investigating kind of tab as well, so that if there's something that you want to see if it's worth a while, it kind of helps you remembering that. This is just a little spread of the love. I just wanted to close out with that. You will send in the love. It said we love Planable. We use a couple of platforms already. Just love the simplicity, and then it's asking for Facebook Reels. So that's I like it. It's like it's a good sandwich technique. It's like we love you.
Yes. But also, yeah, I just want to say I saw the joke with the 100% off afterwards. Yes, 100% off and Facebook Reels. I don't know, maybe. Let's talk, Evo, but thanks for the love.
Absolutely love that. Team, thank you so much. If you feel inspired to do, a bit of love, we will always love to see some hearts, just especially for the team at Planable that joined us again one more time. So thank you. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you all. If you're watching live or replay, we hope you learned something new. We hope you can apply some of what you learned with some of the stuff that we're going to give you as well. If you have any questions, you know where we are. And bless. And I'm really glad, and I hope you had a great hour. I hope we kept you awake and spry. Go out and foster, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.